It's now less than 2 weeks until the NBA's February 7th trade deadline. Fake trades are already everywhere and will become even more abundant, such as the Ringer's proposal to bring Blake Griffin to Dallas, as teams chase ways to improve and writers want to tease readers with how it can happen. Over the next couple of weeks, those what-if trade ideas are going to multiply like rabbits. Because of recent events, Mavs fans are eagerly waiting to see if Dennis Smith Jr. or any other Dallas Mavericks are swapped, and what glittery player lands in Dallas in return. It's like waiting for Santa. And as the ideas multiply, the anticipation will grow. What are we likely to see? Our take. To us, it feels like a weird trade deadline that has a great chance to see a lot of talk with some big names being mentioned, followed by very little action. An NBA exception to that rule, of course, may be Anthony Davis, one of many topics we're covering live on DB.com boards right now. The problem here is that there are some big issues that are likely to suppress the trade market and lead to that big fizzle. Let's look at a few. The big obstacle getting in the way. The first issue, and perhaps the biggest, it is the lack of sellers in this year's market. While a trade is a swap rather than a purchase, the NBA's significant trades typically feature a team that wants to sell their already desirable and perhaps very good talent, in exchange for future assets such as younger players with potential who have not yet developed, future draft picks, or an offloading of future undesirable salary commitments. But this year, there are relatively few sellers. Virtually no one wants to give up their already desirable and perhaps very good talent, in exchange for future assets. Why? Much of it has to do with the timing of his year's trade deadline. It used to be in late February but now is on February 7th. With the earlier deadline, fewer teams are ready to give up on this season, because they see more time for a turnaround and a chance to squeak into the playoffs. In fact, not only are such teams unwilling to be sellers, many of them want to be buyers and pursue any giveaway that's out there. Take the recent situation with Dennis Smith Jr. The Mavericks, one of those borderline teams chasing a playoff slot, were hoping to get a team to give them already good talent, in exchange for DSJ's ability to develop into a really special point guard later. But, according to rumors, a team like the Magic, who really need a PG for their future, were totally disinterested in including Aaron Gordon in an offer, because Gordon is helping their current year quest for a playoff slot. In the past, many of the teams down at the bottom of the standings would already be looking ahead by the trade deadline. But just a few games from that last payoff rung, and with 30 games left to play. They want help for this year, not later. In addition, many of those bubble teams are ones who have been frustrated in recent years over a lack of ability to make the playoffs, or to make it often. With such teams, the pressure is even greater to win now. With teams such as Sacramento's New Orleans, and Minnesota in the West, and Charlotte, Detroit, and Orlando in the East, any trade proposal that lessens playoff chance this year is going nowhere. Ultimately, that leaves very few, if any, teams this year who are sellers willing to offer a giveaway. If you want their player, rather than helping now, they want even more current value back in return. Cap-related issues getting in the way. Besides the lack of sellers, there are two cap-related issues that will tend to stifle the trade market this season even further. The first of those is the looming free agent palooza. This summer there will be an unusual abundance of good free agents, and there will be many teams who will have more than MLE money to spend. Almost all of those who don't have much room will still have an MLE that will allow them to offer someone as much as $40 million over 4 years. It's a golden opportunity to get upgrades for free in just a few months, which motivates right now to A. Keep my best talent, and then add to it in the summer, and B. Keep my expiring contracts, rather than trade them for something multi-year, to enhance the opportunity in a summer rich in talent to buy. So when everyone is holding on to their best, and they're expiring, what's left to even pursue? The second cap-related issue is that with so many teams having tons of cap room in the summer, the number of teams in desperate need of getting rid of long-term contracts is small. So the elusive nuclear winter that the Mavs have spoken of, which would motivate a team to give away good players for next to nothing, isn't in play, either. And for the few teams that do have a payroll issue, such as Washington, they know that if they wait until summer, they are likely to have multiple bidders with cap room lining up to bid on any top talent they will make available, instead of what is available in free agency. With some patience, the Wizards, and perhaps others, expect to be able to morph a needed giveaway of salary into an auction of talent, in which they might be able to get both cap relief and a nice set of assets in return as well. How about the Mavs? Obviously the Mavs are in buyer mode, like most teams. They have their franchise player in hand in Luka Doncic, desperately want to learn how to win, and win enough to make the playoffs, and have no desire to lose games to enhance a draft pick that they are unlikely to get. But trying to find a way to improve the roster via trade in this environment, while also trying to keep and even enhance their spending room for summer free agency, with what could be as much as $87 million in cap room, may make a beneficial trade impossible. So what do? One choice, and the most likely one, is that they do nothing, and hope for the best. With some patience, they will have max salary, spending room, and much more besides, to add some top talent to what they already have. If they can add another special player or two to Doncic, DSJ, if he stays, and the other pieces, they can take a huge jump. In theory, they do have other options, if they wanted to widen their chances to do something now. In particular, there are few sellers right now, and what if the Mavs volunteered to be one? That would mean they would make almost everyone available other than Doncic, and even be open to selling some cap room for this summer by taking a multi-year contract player for an expiring contract. But there's a big problem with that approach that probably leads to a dead end. If the Mavs did that, what could they realistically target in return? Their best possible assets to offer, other than kids, are all on expiring contracts, such as DeAndre Jordan and Wes Matthews, or with opt-outs. How much will a team give for Harrison Barnes, knowing he can opt out and leave in the summer? Or Dwight Powell? Those are players whose trade value is very limited until their option choice is decided by June 25th. In addition, the buyers wanting the Mavs to be the seller are going to be looking for someone who will offer them a big fish, or at least a sizable upgrade in talent. In other words, as a seller the Mavs get a pile of lesser valued pieces that would talent they send away. Is that any good? For example, do we hope that Barnes or Jordan can be turned into a package of spares, and a low second-round pick in 2023? So for the Mavs to be the seller, it's probably more theory than reality, given the type of assets they have expiring, and what they want to do, get the big fish and get better quickly. And for the Mavs to be the buyer instead, it looks like they would be needing a trade partner that is very unlikely to exist. The trade deadline is fun, and trades are exciting, but from what we see, we think Santa's next visit to the Mavs may wait until the summer.